G'day, welcome everybody to the Edmonds Racing Preview Show. Toby and Trent join us, of course, to run through their runners over the weekend. A big weekend for the Ipswich Turf Club. Their Eyeliner Stakes Day, the Gay Waterhouse Classic also to be run on their 9 race card there. And of course, we've also got the Gold Coast home track there meeting on Saturday and the Sunshine Coast on Sunday. Tobe, we're coming off an action-packed afternoon yesterday, mate. Nice to secure coat of arms for the stable. Son of I'm Invincible, half-brother to stable star Pepe Le Few with the Archer Park team, mate. And wow, what incredible support from your ownership group. The horse has sold out in 2 hours.
Yep. That was a great result for, firstly, your initiative, and then for everyone in our stable to jump on board really quickly to get that done. We've never sold a horse in that quicker time ever. So thank everyone for their support. And he'll be aimed at the Magic Million Maiden, and come up to us shortly. We'll have him gelded, give him a little break, and have him ready in January for that race.
Yeah, exciting horse. A $600,000 yearling, as I said, superbly bred. Family needs a bit of time. He was a $600,000 yearling, as I just mentioned, and he's got some nice maiden form around him. So it's quite a nice horse to get on in the stable, knowing that we can take him right through his grades. From day dot, from his maiden win right through. So.
I think he's got a lot of upside there once he's gelded too. I believe he's that's his. Most of his issue, that he's a colt, needs gelding, and you see those horses turn around very quickly once that happens. So he's been in good care all his life, had the right been with the right trainer, so everything would have been looked after clinically and vet wise. He'd have everything he needed to drive on with. So we've got him in at the right time.
Yeah, sort of all the work's done. Looking forward to him arriving in the stable, that is for sure. And big thank you to all those owners that jumped in, and a big thanks to those that emailed. Unfortunately, missed out this time, but I'm sure there'll be other opportunities down the track. Trenty, mate, 5 runners since we last spoke on Friday. Flatter, Course She Will, and Say I See You all went close at Ipswich. Fast Dealer ran a decent 4th at the Gold Coast. But let's talk about Astro Boy Toy, mate. He was terrific on resumption there on Wednesday at Eagle Farm, winning the last.
Yeah, he was. Very good horse going forward. 1,200 is a bit too short for him. So pretty exciting, even though it was only sort of a lowly midweek race. I think he's got a lot of scope for a lot more. So it was a good kickoff.
And what did you think of the ride, mate, mid-race? I see Tommy Berry tweeted afterwards. I know he drew awkward, but he sat 3 deep the entire 60 kilos. I suppose I saw Tommy Berry tweeted after the race, magnificent ride, Andrew, just got the horse in his rhythm, was never going to get beat. I thought that was a very interesting comment, given, he was wide and wide the trip, which was, mostly a derivative or a result of the barrier. But what did you think of the ride? Is that the best way to sort of ride those horses with the big weights when you're drawn wide? Just let them get their actions going, their breathing going, and time the run, down the middle of the straight to perfection. Is that how you saw it?
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, not a great deal more to add, really. Kept him in a good rhythm, and I think it's important you don't make a decision. If you go forward and try and bust them up and get outside lead, which being first up for 7 months would have spent a bit of petrol, or you drag right back, put them into somewhat of an uncompetitive spot, especially with 60 kilos, and just leave them with too much to do. So copped his medicine, sat deep, kept him in a good rhythm, and he's a big striding horse in any case. And, it's just lucky he probably had a bit on them, to be fair, and was too good. So no problems with the ride. He was 3 deep. Wasn't a fault of his own. It wasn't as if he drew barrier 2 and ended up 3 deep. He was barrier 8 or 9 from memory, and just got caught there. And at least he was nice and patient on him. Waited until he was nice and balanced. And if you watch the replay, he actually didn't get at him with the stick until just inside the furlong. So give him a couple of reminders, and then away he went.
Yeah, it sort of seemed. Oh, at first look, I was like, "Oh, jeepers, this horse is 60 kilos first up. He's sitting 3 deep. He's just no hope." But when you watch the replay again after Tommy's tweet, he really did have it in control. And like you say, he nursed him, and then when the winning post was, coming up a furlong out, he really asked him for the effort and got there and got his head down on the line. So congratulations, Andrew Malley, and congratulations to all the owners there of Astro Boy Toy in for a big prep this under deep field. All right, let's get stuck into the races team first. Sorry, Tone.
Just give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. I just want to touch on that. I think the biggest thing that riders, they don't have much time to find a spot, right? He looked around a couple of times and obviously Les Tilly on a thing from the bush just kicked up inside him and just kept him there. So what was he going to do? The most important thing is getting the horse into his rhythm, get him to travel, get him breathing properly. As Trent said, he's a big striding horse, outside horses. Isn't that bad. As long as they put them back on the bridle, they're not chasing him off the bridle to get him out of their gate, and then they use all that petrol up with 60 kilos. So done the right thing. Well done.
Yeah, well done. Good on you, Andrew. Very good. All right, let's kick into Ipswich on Saturday, guys. It's a soft 5. Their 9-race card. We have 4 acceptors across 3 races there. Before we get stuck into the form, Tobe, tell us a little bit about the Ipswich track, mate. Looking online, it looks like it's a mile, I think, just over a mile, the track and circumference. It looks like basically a big circle. You'd think that, if you got stuck deep there, you'd be covering a lot of extra ground, but you guys seem to have a little luck there. This season, 64 starters for 14 winners at 21%. And 64% place getters to runners, which is enormous. How does the track normally play there, Ipswich?
It's look, it depends where the rail is. Obviously, if once the rail gets out, it's very leaderish and can be that way. A lot of it's tempo related as well. I think historically Ipswich Cup Day, Eyeliner Day, and Ipswich Cup this week, they do sweep a bit, so the rail will be back in the true. But it'll be mostly tempo related, and I think we've got the opportunity to have a look at a few races before we can really nail our how we're going to ride these horses. But they're drawn a bit awkward and a bit sticky anyway, so they're going to need a bit of luck by the look of it.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully, like you say, we've got some absolute shocking draws. I think the best you got was 9 of 15 with Potro Duro in race 5. But yeah. The good thing about these good class races, I suppose, is you get that genuine tempo. So hopefully, with the good riders on board, which we have this weekend, hopefully they can just find some cover or I suppose it just depends on how the race sort of maps out. But let's have a look at race 5. It's a class 6 over 1350 meters. It's our first race for the weekend at Ipswich, I should say. Anyway, we've got number 5 there, Potro Duro. Obviously scratched from last week to avoid the really heavy track. Got a better track here at Ipswich. Robbie Fradd aboard, won his last 3 for the Archer Park team. He's third pick at $5.50. And unconditional for the 2K Thoroughbreds team. Another horse that's been in terrific form. First prep off a long layoff. Brad Stewart aboard here. He's drawn a little bit more awkward in 11. I think he'll come into something like 9 of 9 though. Had a good prep as well. Both horses in good form. Both horses drawn wide. But I do note of all the races on the card, it's probably the only race where there's probably not a lot of tempo and with a lot of scratchings. These horses might be able to be a bit sort of positive, particularly Potro Duro from the gate.
Yeah. Potro Duro's raced that way, especially at Eagle Farm at his last start. He hasn't ran for a little while, so we wouldn't want to be doing too much work in the early stages. We want to have something left to give in the last 100 metres. So from that barrier kicking forward, he goes forward anyway. As you mentioned, there's not much speed, so it will drive forward. Hopefully we get to outside lead, or we could even go on and control it. And with a bit of luck, if there's too much tempo, might be able to come over behind him. But he'll be up on the speed somewhere. And trial back was good. His subsequent work's been pretty good. So he gets a good chance of going in that race. Unconditional, few runs in. He's been pretty good, I will say that. Little bit one pace at 1200 last time out to 1350. We thought he might want that. There's not much between those two horses. I'd suggest the one that ends up with a better run in the race is probably going to figure in the finish here.
Well, that's very interesting. Given one's $5.50 Potra Duro and unconditional at $17. Like I say, two very good riders. So at this stage, I suppose like you normally do, you'll just have a look at the scratchings after tomorrow and then work out how the race might sort of play out map wise and decide then whether they both run or just one of them runs.
Well, yeah, there's a race next Wednesday that we've nommed both of them for that's come up really light on nom. So we probably will need to make that call and have a bit of a look. I think there's a benchmark 85 next Wednesday, 1,400 metres, which would be pretty well ideal for either of them. And it's nearly 20 grand to the winner as well. So still good prize money, but we'll just have a look close to scratching time as to which one we run, to be fair.
All right. Well, two good, nice each way chances there in race 5 at Ipswich. I note Godolphin's got Wren's Day in the race, and looks like he'd be hard to beat too with the right run. Race 7 is the listed Eyeliner Stakes, Trent, 1,200 metres. Mr. Bellagio, talk about horses in good form. Well, he's been absolutely exquisite, winning his last 3. He's second favourite here behind Boom Sarah. Again, drawn wide, but we've got Magic Robbie Fradd aboard with a nice low weight, 54 kilos. I suppose a big question here, mate, is he's had all his wins at sort of 1,400 metres. He's had the big 8-week freshen up, dropping back to 1,200 metres here. He has never won at 1,200 metres, 10 starts for 4 seconds and 3/3. So he's been there or thereabouts, but, maybe fresh 1,200 metres. How do you think he can win it?
Look, probably would have liked a shower to eventuate. That's not going to happen. One thing I will note is that there's a stack of speed in this race, like Mashani Hustler, Fiery Heights, Deep Image, Tarzan. Well, those first 3 I mentioned have drawn terrible, and they only know one way. Monsieur Gustave as well, sort of barrier 7. He's first up for a long time. Good speed horse. And Tarzan's drawn down low in barrier 1. So should be on for young and old, to be fair. Our guy, I just wish the Eyeliner was 1,350 this year, but it's been obviously put back to 1,200 for whatever reason. And he'll be storming home. Just worried that the 1,200 might be a little bit nippy on a hard track.
Yeah, right. Very good. Well, I see at the track there, it's sort of that shoot, the 1,200 metre shoot at Ipswich. Before it's about a 200 metre, 300 metre run before it starts turning. So it is they'll break the land speed record, I reckon, the first 200, 300 metres. That'll be a good watch. Robbie Fradd, I can just see posing up, getting some cover, and he'll be making a late flash than Mr. Bellagio for the Archer Park team. Good luck to all the owners there. So something each way, Trent? Is that how you'd see him?
Yes, for sure. I know he's second elect in the market, but obviously never won at 1,200. He did run a bottler first up for us over 1,200 back in December last year. But, I'd be a lot more confident if there was an extra furlong attached.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, race 8 is the cutest 3-year-old over 1,350 metres. Tobe Scout, drawn 15 here. Ryan Maloney aboard. He's been around the money this prep, Toby, without sort of looking like in the same sort of shape or form he was in the summer. But I know you guys are much more confident going into his last run, which he missed because he just knocked that joint on the morning of the race or the night before the race and had to be scratched. He's 4 weeks between runs, up to 1,350. I thought he probably a better shot than the $15 here. What did you think?
Oh, look, he's got a horrible barrier, and he's a horse. He's a go-forward horse, so he's going to need a lot of luck. If there's something else, we would prefer to keep him for that. He's going quite well, and I believe there's a cutest race next week as well that we could possibly wait for if we wanted to. But he's going well enough to run well. Just got a horrible barrier, and I can't see him mapping up and where we get to in the run. But if we decide to run, he's just going to need a lot of luck to figure in the finish, I think. Yeah.
Looks like enough speed inside, and that's for sure. Being 15 from 15, so we'll leave that to you and Simon Mannering to work out the speed maps. And good luck to the owners if Scout does take his place at Ipswich there tomorrow. All right, back at home track, Gold Coast Saturday, good for 8-race card there on our home track. We've got 4 acceptors across 3 races. Kicking off in race 1, Trent, Class 1. A maiden race here. Dollar Euro, a new horse for the stable, come up from New South Wales, ex-Bjorn Baker. A 3-year-old having his first stable start for the Morrises. Is that the Morrises' first horse with us?
No, it's not. It's the first horse that's going to get to the races. Glenn's been really good in sending us another one, to be fair. We haven't had the best of luck. One actually broke down at the trials a while ago, and another one done a suspensory, so was retired before we could start them. So we haven't had the best of luck for him and the team. And look, this guy as well, he was ready to go at the midweeks probably 2 weeks ago, and he must have got cast in his box overnight. He had skin all off his head and was sore and sorry for a good week or so. So yeah, he's drawn barrier 1 tomorrow. Looks to be a fairly handy maiden, to be honest. You know, there's a couple in here with some fairly good form, even though they're still maidens. But our guy's drawn barrier 1. He's an on-speed runner, so he'll be thereabouts. And thought his work Tuesday morning was pretty good for a maiden galloper going to the Gold Coast on a Saturday, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. I think he's bred to get a bit further too, isn't he, by Eurozone out of an arena mare. So
he is, but he's really brilliant. He's really brilliant early, so it's quite odd. He shows really good speed, so I'd say we'd be pretty prominent there tomorrow, and hopefully he can hold on.
Yeah, right. Well, good luck to the Morris. It's nice to get one to the races in their colours, and I'd say, you know, he's coming off the 1 trial after a bit of a layoff. He'll be better for the run. So he's just a horse you'll be watching and learning a bit more about tomorrow. Trent, would that be fair?
Yeah. I'd give him a good each-way chance.
Okay, very good. All right, race 5 is a benchmark 68 over 900 metres. Toby, these two fillies and mares, Decisive Heart and Bafana, they've been sort of following each other around here the last couple of weeks, looking for runs. Looks much better placed here, particularly Decisive Heart, drawn barrier 5. She was a very good second last time out at the same sort of track and distance, and you'd think she looks ready to win here, particularly drawn so well. Bafana, she's a 2K Thoroughbreds filly, did a sensational job to win on debut at the Sunny Coast. She's back here off 1 quiet trial and hasn't drawn as well in barrier 11. Yeah,
so Decisive Heart, probably the best out of the two of those. I'd suggest whatever Bafana does tomorrow, she should improve on. She's been a little bit of a work in progress, a little bit hard to get a guide on and handle on. So she was fortunate enough to win a race for us first up last preparation, but then we started at 1200 from Wide Alley and she just raced through the bottle. So it's a bit of a rebuild for her, Bafana. So it's going to kick her off tomorrow, just ride a little cold and if she can run on a bit. Hoping that can happen, but Decisive Heart's ready to run really well. Loved to run the other day at 900. We've kept her that distance, and whatever beats her will be winning, I'd suggest.
The form was frank the other day. Tulio came out and won a Class 6 last Saturday at Sunshine Coast in the Saturday meeting. So she's going to take a bit of tossing, you'd have to think, running in a benchmark 68, 900 at the Gold Coast on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Agree. All right, well, good luck to the Decisive Heart owners. Bafana, probably treat it more like a second trial, nice and cold. Get her to relax and hit the line, and you'll be looking out for her second or third up.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, race 7, Class 1 over 1400 metres. Applause. He went to, he's drawn well here. Scotty Galloway up. He went to Casino the other day, and we were sort of, he was on his last hope. He must have heard that through the grapevine, and he was bloody dominant. One with a bit of authority. Back to his home track here, drawn well. Be nice to see him run a nice race for the Lucky Clover team again.
This is a pretty handy Class 1. Horse of Chris Waller's smashed them at the Gold Coast in a maiden a couple of weeks ago, super contender. Even Paul Duncan's horse, Tavies Town, he's got good ability.
The driller's horse out of the Godolphin yard.
Yeah, mate, it's a tough as nails Class 1. This bloke could be doing well, to be honest, to probably run a place here. If he could beat those 3 home, he's probably exceeded my expectations. Because they're pretty sharp horses, even though it is a sort of a provincial Class 1 race. Those 3 have got some good upside, you'd have to think. And our guy, before going to Casino, was, to be honest, he was on the way out if he didn't do a great deal. and he won with good authority. So the horse is going good, but we've just run into a really, tough class one. And I would say if he could run a place there tomorrow, he's done a good job.
Yeah, agree. There's plenty of, horses on their way through to city grade there for sure, Metro Saturday grade. But listen, he surprised us at Casino, so hopefully he can surprise us again there at the Gold Coast tomorrow. It'd be lovely to see him. He's certainly drawn to get every favour, that is for sure. Mm-hmm. Sunshine Coast Sundays come up a soft 7. There's an 8-race card there, 2 acceptors across 2 races. Kicking off in race 2, Toby Acutis, 2-year-old filly's maiden over 1,000 metres. I tell you what, this is a very interesting little race. 19 acceptors, but there's only 2 in the market. There's only 2 at under double odd figures. That is Farasan for the Archer Park team, the Sebring filly. She's a second pick at 370. And you've also got Tony Gollins' filly, Blue Zebra, the Vinnie filly, who's a $2 pick at the moment after some really impressive trials.
Yeah. Well, we can't really get much of a guide on Tony's filly, but it's well bred, so he suggested have it up to the mark and ready to go. But our girl's been trialling really well. She's a lovely, big, strong filly by Sebring. Pedigree's pretty good. I expect her to be quite strong. Whether she can beat Tony's filly first up doesn't matter. She's ready to go, so we'll be running. And if we bowl it over, we'll that's great. But our trials have been good. They've drawn side by side, so we're going to get a good run. Hopefully we can get it down late.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. It's going to be drawn beside each other. Frad v Northdurft. It's going to be a real little bit of sport there, that race. And 2, I think, quality fillies on their way through. Farasan by Sebring out of a Shamardale mare, beautifully bred. And she carries the Archer Park colours. So good luck to the team there. Nice filly debuting. Race 4, Tobin Trent, $1 in here, but he's drawn wide. I'm guessing you'll just stick to the Gold Coast with him at home track first up.
Yep. Yeah, he won't be going. He'll stay at home tomorrow. Yep, for sure.
Brilliant. All right, guys. Well, good luck to you and all the owners on the weekend. Have a good one.
Okay.
Thanks, Brucey.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.